Good morning. Good morning, eighth grade. It's Friday, Cougar Wear Friday, May 8th. The light is at the end of the tunnel. We are looking at 4.7 in your grammar. Make sure that you have your yearbook information forms filled out by today being Friday the 8th. So please do not delay that. It's incredibly important that you finish that ASAP. So Friday, today, at the latest. Make sure you fill it all out. Don't skip anything. Make sure your answers are all appropriate. I know that won't be a problem. Today we're on page 70, lesson 4.7, indicative, imperative, and emphatic moods. It says, verb forms are also indicate mood. There are four moods in English: the indicative, the imperative, the emphatic, and the subjunctive. You will examine the first three in this section and the fourth in the next section. So that's coming the next lesson. The indicative mood is the form of a verb that's used to state a fact or to ask a question. Most sentences are in the indicative mood. So for instance, we are working on the project together. Our working is in the indicative mood. It's making a statement. Have you ever painted a t-shirt? Have painted is your verb phrase. That is also in the indicative because it's asking a question. So you're making a statement or asking a question. Note that all the tenses studied in section 4.6, the simple, the progressive, the perfect, they're all forms of the indicative mood. Those were all things that we talked about in 4.6. Now, the imperative mood is more forceful. It gives a command or a request. The subject of the verb in the imperative mood is almost always in the second person, either singular or plural. The subject you usually is not expressed. To form the imperative mood, use the base form of the verb. For negative sentences, use do not or do not. Now, let's put that in terms that are easier to understand. Basically, in the imperative mood, you're giving a command. All sentences have subjects and they have verbs, right? So if you're giving a command, like open the door, open is the verb. That is a complete sentence, but you have to say, well, what's the subject? The doer of the action is the subject. And in this case, when we have an imperative sentence, it's understood you. And when we write that on paper, like on an assignment, you have to put the word you in parentheses because it's understood that the subject is you. The sentence doesn't say the word you in it. It's understood that you're the one that's being commanded to do something. Plan your design carefully. Plan is the verb in the imperative. Understood you is the subject. Do not start without a definite design. Do not start is in the imperative. And technically, we don't use the negations. We don't use the negative word in the verb phrase, but they're using it for you here. So do not start is in the imperative mood. The subject is understood you. Now, in both of the sentences, like I just said, the subject you is understood. We put that in the parentheses. To form a command using the first person, we use let's, like let us before the action of the verb. So let's open the cabinet door and see what's inside. That's for a first person command. And let's is going to be the imperative mood, indicating first person, and it's the combination of let and us. The last one for today is the emphatic mood. This is the form of the verb that gives special force to a simple present or past tense verb. For instance, it says, for the present tense, use do or does before the base form of the verb. For the past tense, use did before the base form. Do not confuse this with do, does, and did, which is used as auxiliary verbs in questions or negative sentences. So I do like your idea. Do like is in the emphatic because it's putting more emphasis on the idea of liking something. Your assignment is going to be on page 70, exercise 1, page 70. Identify the verb or the verb phrase and then tell whether it's in the indicative, imperative, or the emphatic. Sentence 1, I do hope to paint a t-shirt for the school logo contest. The verb or verb phrase is do hope. And because you're using do or does, it's going to be emphatic because you are expressing with more emphasis that you do like something or do hope. So your answer for number 1 will be do hope, and then you'll write emphatic. Now, look for a Google Meet next week on Tuesday in the morning. Miss you all.